Chairman, if on the 30th of March 2019 the UK is subject to the European Court of Justice, takes new rules relating to the single market, and is paying into the European budget, are we not a vassal state?
No, we're not. Not unless we're a vassal state today. You might think we are.
No, because today we have a vote.
Yeah, okay.
We have a representative on the Court of Justice. We have representations in the European Parliament.
As I said earlier, I think to one of your colleagues, I take the view that the transition is a little different to. I mean, if that were going to be the case in perpetuity, my answer would probably be yes. But the answer for a short time, no.
Isn't this, though, very serious, that allowing continued Court of Justice jurisdiction is hard to think of any precedent in the world where an independent nation has taken the judgments of a foreign court as its superior and immediate law without having any judge on that
in perpetuity, you're right. Bear in mind, you are talking about something which we are currently negotiating, so we haven't decided quite how we're going to manage those elements, whether it's the court or indeed the agencies and so on. But
in your earlier answer, you said we were going to accept the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice.
Yes.
So, what do you mean by accept the jurisdiction?
Exactly that.
With automatic effect?
With automatic effect.
With automatic effect.
That's right.
So we are a vassal state for the 2-year period?
Well, I don't say that at all. We are transitioning from one state to another. We're going from one state to another. And you can call it what you like, but not vassal. I don't think vassal state.
All right. If not a vassal state, in what sense have we left the European Union? Other than we have no say on what
we are leaving, as in transiting, as in implementing. Right?
Okay, so the transition is from being inside the European Union to leaving the European Union over a 2-year period.
Yep.
It is no longer an implementation of the consequences of leaving.
Well, it will be, because in that period, the issues that Mr. Williams was talking about will be taking effect. Whether it's creating a new customs regime, whether it's creating a new regulatory regime, whether it's setting up our own regulators. Bear in mind, 40 plus years in the European Union has left us with a lot of pieces of our state missing by comparison to what will be there when we're out.
The Prime Minister's phraseology of implementation was very important because it meant that we left on the 29th of March and then we're implementing the consequences such as new queues at Heathrow and things like that. Transition is different because transition means that we are de facto inside the European Union for that period and we are only actually out at the end of the transition. And that is a big shift in government policy and a big move away from the vote in June 2016.
We're no longer members, as you said, because for the reasons you cited. We don't have representation on the council, on the court, and so on, although we're going to debate how we're going to manage that. I do not accept your description.
Will we accept new rules?
Now that's an area of some interest, because the time to take to put a rule into effect, regulation into effect in the European Union, the average is 22 months. The proposal we're having for the European Union is we leave over 21 months. In other words, there'll be nothing that we didn't have a say in take effect. Now, what happens, whether that's not exactly right, whether it doesn't work out quite that way, we'll see when we come to it. But at the moment, no.
Isn't that a really rather weak answer, to say that the EU has been slow in implementing new laws in the past, and therefore it will be slow in future?
Well, I think you're going to
when it has a 21-month period when it can implement new rules, possibly including a financial transaction tax, and that it may suddenly find there is an incentive to move quite quickly.
Well, I think you'll need to wait.
If you accept the principle.
All right. I'm not going to do the negotiation with the Commission on that implementation period in this room. So I think you're going to have to wait and quiz me in a few months when we get to the other end of it. Bear in mind you'll also have a vote in Parliament before you accept it. But I don't think that what you are describing is what will happen.
Now, the Financial Times reported yesterday, one George Parker, who happens to be in the room, that their government official spokesman was saying that leaving the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice was never formally a red line. Do you recognise that use of language?
What I will say, I mean, I don't know what the official government said, government spokesman said. I never use the phrase red line at all. You and I have both done commercial negotiations. Any idiot who goes into a commercial negotiation with the phrase red line determines one thing. He doesn't determine he'll hit his red line, he determines he'll hit no more than his red line. Let me finish. He also determines that he'll get nothing in exchange for things he wants to trade away. So whatever the official government spokesman said, we are going through the implementation period as described pretty much in the Prime Minister's Florence speech, and we'll do so in a way which will leave us in 2021 free of all these fetters. No vassal state us.
In the transition period, will we continue to pay money to the European Union before all the final details of every agreement are completed?
What's the last part of the sentence?
Before every final detail of all the agreements are completed. That is to say, the basic position is that nothing agreed is until everything is agreed. Our biggest negotiating card is our money, which they're desperate for.
That's one of the reasons, not the only reason, but one of the reasons that we have to have the substantive conclusion.
And will we make the payment when the substantive conclusion has moved to the final conclusion, or will we make the payments during the course of the transition period?
Well, I mean, what I expect us to make payment during the course of the transition or the implementation period. The primary issue is not the going from substance to detail. I don't think that will be the issue. The issue where we are going through this is that it'll be a mixed agreement. The mixed agreement will take some time to conclude, as the Canadian one did. It'll get there, I'm quite sure, but it will take some time, and that time will actually happen during the implementation period. I'm quite sure that won't conclude before then.
So
that's the area where it's not concluded.
On the court, the money and the new laws, why aren't we just extending Article 50?
Say again?
Well, we're going to be de facto in the European Union.
Well, no, that would be a major error, frankly, to just extend Article 50, as you say, and just stay in for another 2 years.
Be honest about it, that we are de facto staying.
I mean, there is a massive difference in one respect, the one I started out talking about earlier, which is the ability to make international trade deals. These matter enormously, and they will come into effect, if we do it this way, the way we're doing it, they will come into effect very soon after conclusion in 2020, 2021. If we extend our membership, we will not be in a position to do that. That 2 years is going to be extremely important for inward investment. It's going to be extremely important for establishing trade arrangements. It's going to be extremely important for bolstering the economy.
So the one advantage we have is that we're free from sincere cooperation.
It's a very important advantage.
Can't we be a bit insincere now and get on with it?
Insincerity is not government policy.
Who's going to punish us if we get on with it now? Aren't we just still acting as if we are in the European Union? We're bound by the European Union. We are lackeys of the European Union.
We're acting as a law-abiding country.
A bit bolder.
We're acting as a law-abiding country.
And implement the referendum.
Mr. Rees Mogg, I'm surprised at you. You of all people suggesting we go and break the laws.
It's not breaking the law.
We are not going to break those undertakings, laws, commitments, call them what you want.
We're leaving. We don't need to behave as if we're a permanent member. Thank you, Secretary of State.